Good morning. This is the Blaine's World webcast that can be found um, anywhere you want to look for us, but we're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you get more information and find past shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on cool things that are happening in Western North Carolina and throughout the nation. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Spencer Hilgeman. Is that it?
That's
Hilgeman,
it.
who's the owner and chief ice cream maker at Hilltop Ice Cream Shop. And thanks for being my guest today, Spencer.
Absolutely.
And before we go any further, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. So that is Spencer. I should tell you that Spencer is a former executive chef at the Biltmore Estate and now owner of Hilltop Ice Cream Shop in Fairview. He enjoys this new career move in the world of ice cream, as does his wife Melissa and their 6-year-old son Finn. Imagine the thrill of a child having their own ice cream shop in the family. That must be really cool.
Yeah.
Um, Question I always ask Spencer, first of all, is as a kid, you grew up where?
So I've kind of been a bunch of different places. So I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, till I was about 11 years old. And then we moved to Florida. And so I went to middle school and high school in Florida and the Panhandle, just east of Pensacola. And then after I graduated high school, I lived in Greenville, South Carolina. I went to college there. I was down there for about 6.5 years. And then I moved here to Asheville in 2012. So I've been in Asheville since 2012. So
And as a kid growing up, did you always know you wanted to own an ice cream shop?
I didn't. I didn't. Now, my mom will say I've always loved food. She always has stories of me when I was a little kid watching cooking shows instead of like cartoons and stuff like that. So I've always loved the food and beverage industry. I've done it since I was about 16 years old. My first job was in a pizza kitchen. And so I've always kind of been in the culinary world.
And do you see now your son following your footsteps?
Yes, he enjoys cooking.
Uh,
He loves food and of course loves ice cream. So
that's a requirement, I guess. Did he
yes,
with you? So you always enjoyed cooking from as a young kid,
yes,
and
yep.
so then you did you go to school for it?
I did. So I lived in Greenville, South Carolina, or when I moved there for college, I went to North Greenville University for 2 years as a kind of business marketing major. And I just kind of got that itch again to get back in the kitchen. I hadn't been in the kitchen for a while and started working at a pizza kitchen and another restaurant down there just as a job to get some money. And about a year and a half into, I guess, what I call regular college. I just really wanted to go to culinary school. And Greenville is great. They have a really great culinary program down there at Greenville Tech. And so I convinced my parents that that's what I wanted to do. So I got an associate's degree from North Greenville University. And they said, as long as you get that, then you can go to culinary school. So I started culinary school, loved from the first day, loved it. So yeah, I did culinary school, worked at a couple restaurants there, worked my way up at a country club, was the executive sous chef down there. So
And then you went. The 4-year degree was from where?
North Greenville University, and then I got my culinary and baking and pastry degree from Greenville Tech.
Okay, so you then graduated college. You knew you were going to be in the field, and I
Yep.
know one of the jobs you had, or you were there for a while. You were at the Biltmore Estate. Is that correct?
Yeah. So in 2012, I like telling the story. My mother, they've been living in Nashville since 2006. And in 2012, early 2012, she called me about 3 or 4 times saying, "Hey, Biltmore Estate's having a job fair, a big, job fair downtown. You should come up." She called me, called me, called me. And then my dad called me and said, "Hey, your mom keeps asking me that and saying that she's talked to you about this job fair." And so I knew when I heard from both of them that I better at least come, I'll check it out. So I came up for a day. And the way Biltmore did their job fairs, or they do still, I guess, but it was like every restaurant. So every chef from all the restaurants were there. So you got to kind of interview every single restaurant that was on the estate, any food and beverage department. I interviewed and got 3 callbacks and came back for second interviews and got 3 job offers. So I figured, man, you get that many job offers and your mom and your dad are both saying you should come do it. I
Well,
better do it. So
so you were primarily though were you at just one restaurant or you were at all the Biltmore restaurants?
So when I started, I took the job at Deer Park and Lioncrest. So Deer Park
Okay.
at the time was the buffet restaurant, and Lioncrest was a fairly new department. They kind of did all the catering. We did all the wedding or a lot of the weddings and all the offsite catering on Biltmore or through Biltmore State. So I started as like a supervisor with them, and quickly was moved up to sous chef um, while my time there at Deer Park and Lionecrest. And then in 2015, they opened up Village Hotel. And I applied for that executive chef position and went through the whole interview process and chef tastings and all that and got the job. So I was the opening executive chef at Village Hotel on Biltmore State.
It's interesting. You said chef tastings. Where are they?
Yeah, so basically it's like an interview, like an active interview.
Right.
And so I came in, I submitted like a menu. They kind of give you some parameters. They wanted a couple breakfast items, they wanted a couple lunch and dinner items. And I came in for a whole day and prepped everything, executed it all, and then the people tasting the food was at the time our director of lodging on the estate, as well as the new general manager of the hotel and the executive chef of the inn on Biltmore State at that time. I think that's all that was there. But I cooked the food, served it to them, they tasted it. But it gives people a good idea of not just my cooking skills, but execution, time management, what can I cook food? When it comes to a restaurant, it comes down to can I cook food and can I instruct others to cook food? So it was a really simple menu. I'm always inspired by other people. So we did a super simple menu and they liked it. So I got the job.
Bad thing about this show, Spencer, is just hearing you talk about this, I'm getting hungry,
Very good. Yeah.
in terms of uh making a full course meal. How long were you at the Biltmore?
So I was at Biltmore. I'm technically still currently there, just kind of as a part-time. I go in kind of in the off season, help them out. But I've been there since 2012, so September of 2012.
I didn't
So
realize you were still there. I know sometimes you'll
almost
say,
12 years. So I was there for 10 years full time. So I basically transitioned right from my last day was like April 1st of 2021. And that all of April and May, I took kind of transition into the ice cream shop from there. So and took over officially at the ice cream shop on Memorial Day weekend. So it was
let's
our
talk about
first
that
official.
process. That from going to be a chef and a pretty high level chef at Biltmore, what was it like switching from that to running your own little ice cream store?
I was really fortunate having opened up a new property on the estate. Not everyone gets that opportunity to kind of build a kitchen from scratch. I was ordering all the equipment, or most of the equipment that needed to come into the restaurant to run our day-to-day business. I did about 98% of all the hiring for the kitchen. And so I had a lot of experience from doing that and kind of building a team from scratch. And then when I was at Village Hotel, when Hilltop was owned by Barbara,
Right.
the former owner, I was living out in Fairview and loved Hilltop ice cream. I thought she had some of the best ice cream in Asheville. I'm a huge ice cream person. My we all eat ice cream like you almost daily. So
Right.
when we found Hilltop, we loved it. And so I actually started carrying her ice cream. I would buy it wholesale from her and start carrying it as part of our dessert menu at Village Hotel.
It's
And
interesting. Now,
so,
I didn't realize that. Do you still do that? Does your ice cream get
yeah.
shipped out to
So we
elsewhere?
so we still sell to Village Hotel. We sell ice cream to them. We do other wholesale as well around town as well. So
Oh, do you? Now, had you ever made ice cream before?
I had made it in culinary school, but not in the quantities that I make it today. So, I went through the baking and pastry program, so I had a pretty good idea of flavors and what things should taste like. But surprisingly, the process of making ice cream is fairly simple. We have a really nice machine that makes our ice cream, and I can make. If anyone's seen the big buckets of ice cream that we do, I make two of those buckets in about 8 minutes.
Really?
So it comes
Wow.
out. So I can do about 30 buckets in about 4 or 5 hours. I can knock out that much ice cream. So
Now, is
when
that
it comes
something,
to summertime, we're doing about 60 to 80 buckets of ice cream a week. So
are you just doing that yourself or do you have somebody helping you with it?
I do all of it.
Okay.
Yep.
So it must like I guess it comes from experience in terms of how much of each ice cream you make because to your
Yeah.
credit, I don't think I've ever seen you out of something or
Very rarely. That's one of our big goals at the at Hilltop is to not run out. We offer a lot of options as far as flavors. I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we offer the most flavor options out of anyone. I would say in all of Buncombe County at least. So
because I was gonna say approximately how many flavors do you have on any
usually
given day?
about 32 to 33 flavors at all times.
Okay.
So
And you always have, which is kind of cool, you also have a special flavor of the day or a
yeah,
week.
we always try to run a limited edition flavor. And that's just something kind of creative. We get a lot of requests from guests as well, so we'll try to throw those in. And then, of course, peach season comes around. We have to do peach. Come, winter, we do our peppermint stick. A huge, big popular one, kind of early summer is always our s'mores ice cream.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm constantly doing new things. And the limited edition also gives me a chance when maybe I have an item that's on the menu that doesn't move quite as fast as I would hope. I'll try something out new that maybe potentially takes its place. So we rewrote the menu last year, and that's what happened. We had some items that weren't selling as great as I thought they should. And so we tried out some new limited editions. They were more popular. So we just switched them out. So
Now, I want to put you on the spot. I think I sent you an article on this one time, but for some reason you don't have, but most places don't have anymore, chocolate chip, you know?
yes. Yeah,
And
it's not a
talk,
super popular one, but
when I was a kid, it was like right the most popular, one of the most popular flavors.
yeah.
What happened?
That I don't know. I don't know the story behind all of it. I think we've done it maybe once or twice since I've taken over as a limited edition. And it's popular. But yeah, eh, eh, it's all I try to run our limited edition. I try to change them out as often as I can. I hate waste though. And so I try not to like throw ice cream away. So if we come up with an ice cream, it might not move as fast, but they do move. And we'll sell out at some point.
Well, it's funny
But
what you say just ties into something you did do, and it's kind of ties into what you just said about not liking waste. Because I have to give a shout out to my all-time favorite flavor, and it's what the peanut, what do you call it? The peanut butter?
peanut butter cup, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like so good. And my wife always says to me, don't I get tired of it, or don't I want to get something else? Do you have other people like me get the same flavor all the time?
Absolutely. I would say probably 75% of everyone gets the same thing every time. So
But
whether it's a chocolate milkshake or like you, peanut butter cup, they get the same thing almost every time.
here's another flavor I don't think you've had, but I'd like to try sometime or in a shake. Pineapple. Have you ever had pineapple?
So we used to do a pineapple orange flavor.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was pretty popular. But we switched it out for an orange creamsicle, which has been even more popular. So it's a little bit of orange and vanilla. I've never done just pineapple though, so that could be a good one.
Yeah. Just, you got me in the mood for a pineapple shake.
There you
But
go.
something you said that was kind of true though, and I called you on it one time. But I get that peanut butter cup all the time. I love it. And then one time you're probably annoyed with me, but I contacted you and said, Stuart, there's a change. You remember? And
Yeah,
I know the flavor so well, and I just love it all
yeah.
the time. It was different. I said, Stuart, what was different? And that ties into what you were saying. You didn't want to, you had something around, or you didn't want to waste it.
Yep, yeah, we had some extra Reese's Pieces left over, so I hate wasting stuff. So yeah, we just threw them in, but it changed it. But you were great to just go roll with it and enjoy it still. So
No, but you told me though some other people noticed it as well.
we did, yeah. Some other people noticed it as well, but yeah,
So do people like, again, what's so cool about your place is the consistency of it, that every time, and what my wife gets a combination, what does she get? The coffee,
the coffee Heath, I
yeah.
think, and cookie dough maybe
Yeah,
it is.
but every time, and I don't want to sound like your fan club here, but it's like perfect. It's like every week. It's really good. And how do you, I mean, that's pretty cool that you can achieve that consistency.
So, the key, and that's from almost 20 years of cooking experience, is I taste every single ice cream as I'm making it, as it's finished, I'm tasting every single one. So, tasting is, when I was at Biltmore State, I had a staff of, like at the height of it before COVID, probably a staff of about 30 to 35, maybe even 40 at some points with interns as well. The one thing I always stress was you have to taste everything. Even if you don't like it, you got to taste it. Maybe you spit it out or something like that, but you got to taste it because there's no other indicator uh, that will tell you if it's right or not because things change. Even if, every ice cream I have recipes for it. But sometimes the product that we get in maybe was made a little bit different this time. That's outside of my control. So I got to taste it to make sure. And we'll make adjustments from there. Another thing too is since we've taken over, I've consistently upped all of the flavor that goes into it. So whether it's the natural flavors and colorings that we're putting into it, I put more in it. Or if it's like the peanut butter cup, I'm putting in probably twice as much of the little peanut butter cup chunks in there than before. So, we're constantly trying to make a really great product, and it starts with tasting it every time.
Are there any flavors of ice cream you don't like?
Um, that's a good question.
Like, how about, I don't know if I've ever seen it. Do you have licorice?
I don't
Good.
know.
I don't like it, but
I'm not a big I don't like nuts in my ice cream.
right.
So yeah. So the butter pecan, I love the butter pecan, the ice cream portion, but I'm not a big like nuts. I don't like a lot of stuff in my ice cream. So
Does your staff get to taste it also?
absolutely, yeah. Our staff, we give all our staff a free ice cream every shift that they work and employee discount as well. So they get to enjoy it. And we've been fortunate. A lot of our staff were all patrons before they came and worked for us. So um,
And let's
they
talk a
they
little bit about
know they
that.
like the ice cream already. So
Talk a little bit about your staff, because again, I'll
yeah,
give you another compliment. This is not, it's supposed to be about Hilltop Ice Cream, not a fan, to be your fan club. But I got to tell you, Spencer, your staff is really good. I mean, everyone, I mean, talk about how you hire staff, or how do you find the right person to hire and get them acclimated to serve the public,
absolutely. We've been really fortunate to have Reynolds High School just down the road,
right?
and we've gotten lots and lots of great employees from Reynolds High School. One, we know it's already a great school in Buncombe County, but um, my process always starts with just a face-to-face interview. And then one thing that we do that might be different than anyone else in Nashville, I don't know, but we bring in after I've done kind of a face-to-face interview, I feel, there's a little bit of a connection there. They seem like a good fit for us. They are eager to work. They really want to, a lot of them, it's their first time job, so they're kind of nervous, but they're kind of able to get past that, and just go, hey, I just want to get a summer job. Um, I bring them in with me for like a 2 to 4 hour shift. We call them a trial shift. Um, in the culinary industry, it'd be called a stage, but I have them come in and experience scooping ice cream. I kind of show them everything that we do throughout a day, show them how to make a milkshake. I have them interact with our guests and again, scooping ice cream. I always say this, that's, scooping ice cream is a simple thing, but it's not easy. So what we do is very simple in nature, but there is some physicality into it. Some of our ice creams, depending on what's in them, is harder than others. And so there is some, you got to have a little bit of muscle in your arm to do it. So I bring them in to do a trial shift just to see if they can physically do the job. We've had two people I've interviewed that came in, did the trial shift, and one we decided not to hire because they physically couldn't. They just didn't have the muscle to get through the ice cream. And the other one just said this isn't for them. They didn't really like they thought they would want to do it, but they just didn't want to do it. They just felt it was, they didn't really give me an explanation, but I think they didn't really enjoy the guest interaction because our employees all interact with our guests that come in. Hospitality is a huge part of what we do. So you know,
Well, so
doing
much
that
in,
trial shift, I think is key in finding someone. And I've hired probably 300 people in my career, so I'm really easily able to kind of see, is this person going to work? Are they not? I'm not 100% successful in that, but it's a good indicator if they're able to do it.
by the way, you're mentioning the scoop. I've never asked this, I guess, of you certainly. Does carpal tunnel become a problem for people who scoop ice cream?
That I don't know. I know my wrist does hurt on really, really busy days. You'll feel it. You'll definitely feel it.
Do you ever scoop with both hands?
I don't. I can't with my left hand.
I mean, that'd be cool. Does anybody ever, have you ever seen a scooper with both hands?
I don't think so.
Okay, but it'd be great if they could, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But the other thing back to your employees, and I guess it comes from you as well, but they genuinely seem to have a good time. I mean, they almost always have a smile.
Yeah.
And what so impressed me, I'll give a shout out to one, I don't know if she's still with you, Emma Grace. Is she still with
Yep.
you?
She's still with us.
Okay, well,
Yep.
tell her I said hello or show her the show.
I
But it's
will.
amazing. So the very first time we went there, then the next time she greets me by name. You know, she knew my name, she knew my wife's name, and that
Yeah.
was pretty impressive. And then she knew what we wanted to order, and that was, I mean, she's just giving a shout out to her. She's just an exceptional
Yeah.
employee. I
Yeah.
think I hope you keep her forever. Another guy was great too. Name's escaping me. Went into the military. Uh,
Yes. Oh, of course it's gonna escape me as well. But yes, he did great as well. So
but just
um,
it was with you and just a pleasure to actually go there and have
yeah.
fun. I guess as you said, in terms of somebody working there, if you can't have fun, I guess in an ice cream shop, you're not going to have fun anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, compare your experiences between ice cream shop and seeing people face to face, as opposed to being a chef at a bit more state,
Yeah.
a little bit more uh, challenging, I guess, physicality from a physicality standpoint.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, that's tough work.
Yeah, I mean, our key to, and what I tell all our employees is, our guests come first, but I want you to enjoy the job, So after we've hired someone, usually a couple weeks in, I'll have a little just a chit chat with them and just go, are you enjoying the job? Because I want you to enjoy the job and be successful in doing the job. But if you're not enjoying the job, let's part ways because that's not enjoyable for everyone. And it's going to show at some point, whether it's to our guests or just in your quality work. So that's really important part for us is guests come first, and then our employees are right there with them though. And
Do
how we
employees
treat our
enjoy the job?
employees, what's that?
Do they enjoy the job?
They do. They really do. I think especially because all of our employees are all in high school, I think they enjoy seeing friends come up. A lot of them have friends come visit them, and so it's fun. A lot of their families, almost all the families live in Fairview, so it's fun to have, almost all the families bring in extended family when they're coming to visit Asheville and Fairview. They'll bring all their family and go, hey, let's go to the ice cream shop. So
Well, it's funny because as you know, whenever I'm there and see somebody, especially for the first time, I get a big kick out of telling them, how good your ice cream is
yeah,
going and how much they're going to enjoy it. But in terms of then the shop itself, so you've been there now several years.
yeah.
What would you say is your secret to your success or your secret to, if not success, to what you're trying to do at Hilltop?
You know, I go back to all my experience and all my culinary experience. I've been really fortunate to work for some great companies, and the key to all of it was always um, super high quality product. So that's where the tasting comes in. That's where we're constantly evaluating the product. If it's not right, we try to correct it as quickly as we can. And then the second part is always top-notch hospitality. So um, I won't say I'm in the camp of always that the customer is right every
Right,
time.
right, exactly.
Customers can be wrong, but we're going to make every single effort that we can to correct a discrepancy, whether it's our fault or their fault. Um, how we treat our guests, how we speak to our guests. Um, the job can get kind of annoying sometimes because we get the same 5 questions from every single person. That gets, it can get a little tiring, but having that smiling face every time someone ask that same question that every other person asks. Um, Still having a great attitude about it is, I think, is what separates us from everyone else.
For example, what's one of the questions that you get asked?
Um, One I've been getting recently is, do you have vanilla? So we have a large menu. Well, again, a lot of flavors to look through, and I've gotten it probably 5 or 6 times this week. Do you have vanilla? And you know, sometimes I can read people and I can joke. I like to kind of give some people a hard time, and I'll try to read them. And so I did give one guy a hard time, but I knew him, and I was like, I wouldn't be much of an ice cream shop if I didn't have at least vanilla ice cream.
But
So,
you do have vanilla, is that
of
correct?
course, of course. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't get too annoyed. Some of the kids can get a little annoyed, but again, their first job, it's learning customer service and stuff like that. But we have a great staff that is understanding and just like rolls with the punches. One of our big things that we do, we get obviously a lot of little kids that come in. One of the things that our staff does is, so many times, a little kid gets a cone, they start walking away, they trip and fall, they spill their ice cream. We just give them another ice cream. To me, that's a very cheap way. Of course, it's an expense to us, but it's a cheap way that wins over the parents, and it certainly wins over the kid that we just got a free ice cream because I spilled it. So doing little things like that. And then we always try to have open ears. So when a guest comes up, I might hear a little kid going, I want to try lemon cream. I'm just going to go get it for them and not even wait for them to kind of ask for it. And those little touches of customer service and hospitality really set the bar really high for us. So, um, yeah.
I always wanted to know what's the record number of samples somebody asks for? One of the things that you're great about, and I'll give you another compliment.
Yeah.
When you give a sample, we went someplace the other day, and they gave a sample, but it was like the smallest, chintziest sample. It wasn't you, but I
Yeah.
forgot who it was, but we couldn't believe it. You couldn't even tell what it was
Yeah.
like. People come in and ask for samples, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. We don't limit however many samples. I was just at one, I think it was like a yogurt shop or something
Right.
somewhere, and there's like 3 samples only. Again, I think it's one of those really cheap ways that can win guests over. Um, it's really rare people get more than like 2 samples. And so uh, usually it's kids that want to get like 5 or 6, and we just roll with it. So, and then you're saying like on the sample size, that's something I'd probably say in the last year that I've kind of tried to implement is like give them a sample. Don't
Right.
just give them a little thimble size worth of ice cream. I'll give them a bite of ice cream. And a
Because
lot
you're
of
so
people, it's kind of weird, but a lot of people like to share it with their family. And so
no, because you're
give
so
them a
right.
sample and,
The worst, Stuart, Spencer, excuse me, are the ones that give a little wooden spoon,
yeah,
and you can't taste it,
yeah,
So
yeah.
to your credit, you give a sample, but who set the record? What was the most anybody asked for?
Probably close to 10, I would say. Yeah, probably close to 10, probably 8, 9, 10 samples. They like to try them all. It's usually, the most people that get samples are like the out of town tourists that are coming in and they've never been to our shop before, and then they find out it's homemade ice cream. So, and I like to explain to our guests too, to try as much as you want because it's homemade ice cream. My vanilla is going to taste maybe different than what typical ice cream shop that sells Hershey's or Bluebell or something like that. Ours is going to be different. Our chocolate's different. So even if it's like a cookies and cream that feels like it's kind of the same across the board, hey, it might taste a little different to you and maybe better than you expected or worse than you expected sometimes as well. So I
Have you ever
encourage
had?
tasting because I'd rather give out a bunch of little tastes than again, a part of hospitality is if someone comes up and goes, "Hey, I got the chocolate and I really don't like it," I switch it out for them. I just give it to
Oh,
them. It's on me.
that
And I just
happens
let them take it.
sometimes.
So it does. So I encourage, and I encourage our staff to like, hey, just let them taste. I know it can get a little annoying, but just let them have it. And, it's better than remaking 5 ice creams for them. So,
Does somebody, and hopefully they'll come back as well. Does somebody ever sample and then bunch of samples and not get anything? Does that ever happen?
in the we're going on our 4th summer season. I've probably had 2, maybe 3 people ever do that. So, and it's usually people that are looking for something very specific, um, that maybe we just don't carry, but yeah. Not very often. So I'm pretty proud of the quality of ice cream that we make. And so, and it's not for everyone. Some people prefer some other places in town, but I
No,
think we make some of the best in town.
again, not to badmouth the other place in town, and I've gone to them all. I love them all, but you guys are the top. And let me ask you also, in terms of getting to the community, and I think you're very good at that as well. What does Hilltop do in terms of spreading the word out to at least the Fairview?
Absolutely. We do a lot of Instagram and Facebooks. We have, I think about 1,300 followers on Facebook, and we're just about to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. But we do sponsorships with AC Reynolds. We do a lot of support with Fairview Elementary, which is just down a couple blocks from us. That's right in our sweet spot for kids age as well. So we have one event coming up here in April for the Fairview Elementary School Spring Festival. We're going to be over there selling ice cream. We're doing a fun little contest with all their students as well. I sent them 3 different flavor options, all new options, and they're actually going to do a school-wide voting on which one wins, and that'll kind of be the Fairview
Oh,
Elementary
very cool.
flavor. So and we'll feature that for the spring festival. Um, we get a lot of support from Whistle Hop, that's right next door, Smoky and the Pig, Angelo's Restaurant, and so we've built a lot of great relationships in Asheville and in Fairview. We get product from Imladris Farms, which is just right up Old Fort Road. We get some jams from them that go in our ice creams, and so we try to, community building was a really important part of what we do. I don't currently live in Fairview, but I lived in Fairview for about 5, 6 years, from like 2012 to like 2019. So yeah, like 7 years I lived in Fairview, just right behind Damon Coffee House down there. So I've grown to really love Fairview, and we really wanted to be part of the community, not just taking from the community. So we try to give back as much as we can. Um, yeah,
And I
we
never
love being.
told you this, but that was one of the reasons we moved to Fairview because, and we were down the street from you on Joe Jenkins Road, but we saw there was an ice cream place walking distance. We
Yeah.
were here. Spencer, if somebody wants to find out more about Hilltop Ice Cream or get in touch with you, what's the best bet?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, come visit us. We're at 520 Old US Highway 74. We're right next door to Whistle Hop and Angela's Restaurant, or smack in the middle in the gray kind of house looking place. So, um,
Can't miss it.
yeah, you can call us at 828-470-8083 to get our most current hours. Is a great way. If we don't pick up the phone, that's a great way to find our most current hours. And then we're on Facebook, Hilltop Ice Cream Shop. We're on Instagram, Hilltop Ice Cream Shop. You might even find us on TikTok every once in a while. So, but yeah, you can find us on all those. And we also have a website, hilltopicecream.com, and we have our Google listing and all that. So,
5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing?
we have some long-term projection or projects working of having hopefully another shop somewhere in Buncombe County area, maybe outside of Buncombe County. We really like the kind of Old Fort Marion areas is really growing as well, which isn't too far. And then we're also, uh, yeah, I would say the 5-year plan is at least one more shop, maybe 2 more shops. So,
In your
um,
spare time? Well, it'll be perfect too, because maybe 1 in 5 years. So your son is how old?
he's 6.
Okay,
Yep.
so hopefully we'll keep 10 years from now that he'll be working with you or
There
something
you
like
go.
that too.
Yep.
Anyway, Stuart, I'd like to thank you for being my guest this special edition of the Blaine's World webcast. It's always a pleasure to see you, and I always enjoy seeing your smiling face, and your staff is absolutely great. Sounds like a commercial, and I should mention you didn't pay for this, but the absolute best ice cream. And I
I
tell everybody in
appreciate
the
it.
world about it, put it in my blog. Thanks, man. That was great.
Thank you.
Be well.